Hey everyone, it's Jason. So if you haven't seen, in the new Zombicide Kickstarter, White Death, they are bringing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles into it. This is, the fantasy, version, so it's like what goes with Black Plague and Green Horde. So this set is completely compatible with those as well as the rest of it. But yeah, so it's like, they're samurai themed. Of course, it's bringing them into that timeline. So, I have one more picture here of some of the miniatures in there. So they're different miniatures. The turtles are cast in green, which is kind of cool. Otherwise, the normal survivors for Zombicide are brown, and the gray guys are the Foot Clan, and there's a Shredder way up there. I didn't get a lot of different pictures of this. The question was, that came up, because I've thought about incorporating the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles City Fall game, miniatures game into Zombicide. I'm like, oh, I have all the miniatures. It'd be cool just to have to make a quick card for each character. They did originally release a set of Ninja Turtles that were Zombicide themed for the modern Zombicide. And then Black Plague has also added the Thundercat. So there's been a bunch of crossovers, so it's not like it's impossible to do. But I thought about this when I saw this, and I'm like, sweet, I have even more of a reason to try and add my own characters in here. And somebody asked on the Kickstarter comments, how well do they compare? So that's what I wanted to do for this video, is I wanted to compare the City Fall characters, the TMNT miniature game, to some of the Zombicide stuff, just to show you, like, in a little video, how well they'll compare to each other. Alright, let me set that off to the side. Alright, so here we have 3 standard Zombicide Black Plague survivors. So all various human sizes. Well, an orc and 2 different humans. Let me grab some of the turtles here. Oop, not that one. Alright, and there are the 4 turtles. So as you can see, the turtles are a little bit bulkier in size, but to some extent, but you know, that should also be kind of noted that they should be, because they are, of course, you know, big mutant turtles. Now, one big thing is the bases. They're almost identical. The turtles look like they might be a little bit bigger. One way to check is we have the bases that go for the Zombicide characters. Look how easy that just slides on there. Now, if I try and put it on one of the turtle ones, they're also a little bit thicker. So, I can get it on there, but I kind of had to squeeze. But it's not like it's impossible to get it on or off. So, yeah, they will work kind of for that. So, the other thing I did want to do as a comparison there was to some of the human characters. Just to maybe get the body proportions a little bit better. Alright, so then here's a, oh my gosh, my brain forgot his name, Hobbs and April O'Neil. So they're more human-sized. So now if you compare them, you can see, like, standing straight up, April is a decent, you know, a decent height taller than this lady. She's, you know, taller than the orc. So they're not, so the City Fall game, the miniatures are just a little bit bigger in scale, but they're not so far off that I think it's, you know, obviously you can say, well, it's going to be a distraction, it's going to look weird, because they're also colored differently. Now, if you had these all painted, you know, then they might not be as big of a difference. But yeah, so that's kind of there. And then here's like a thug, just a general thug from the game. You can see again, he's as tall as the other human characters, but he's definitely, this guy's hunched over. But if you put him next to an orc who's, you know, again, he's standing straight up, he's a little bit crunched, he's a little bit shorter, a little bit smaller overall, but they're not too far off. Alright, so that's the main thing to do. So if that's all you want to know, you can go ahead and end the video. What I also wanted to just show off, I wanted to kind of compare some of the other miniatures and other stuff. So the idea is, if I was going to bring all these characters into Zombicide, what would make sense? So first I'm going to do is compare them to the City Fall, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle miniatures, to the Black Plague, Green Horde, Zombies, some of them, just to kind of show that off. Then I am going to compare them to Modern, because these miniatures will probably make more sense in Modern Zombicide than in City Fall, or than in Black Plague Fantasy, because they're not really fantasy themed looking, although like the new samurai ones definitely are. So here's some not abominations, these are some fatties. And then we do have a couple of abominations here, which are obviously quite a bit bigger. So it's like, those are your two bigger sized characters. So there's a lot of different ones in Turtles that could definitely be incorporated into include as one of these different types. Of course, we got, Bebop and Rocksteady. So again, they're almost all the sides of abominations. Abominations are generally unique. So that might be the thing, is you'd have to figure out for the Turtles game what would make sense for, if you're trying to incorporate it into Zombicide rules using all the different miniatures, what would make the most sense for walkers, runners, and brutes. Abominations, I think, are a lot easier if you want to use all these different characters, because there's a bunch of, because again, they're usually singular characters that come in and they do something. So you might have to kind of play around with that a little bit, but we got some other good examples of some abominations here. You have Worm, or you have Krang, who again, if you're maybe introducing these into Black Plague environment type of game instead of Modern, but you're putting them into Black Plague, you could also even use like Krang as like a necromancer, and that might be an option as well. Otherwise, we do have some other different ones here. So I'm going to actually grab... So those are the fantasy big ones. Here are the modern ones. Let's look at some of the modern abominations. You can see what they kind of look like versus some of the modern brutes. And if this guy looks new, if you've never seen him before, because he is part of the Rio de Janeiro set. And these are all second edition as well. I'm not using the classic. I could go pull some of them out, but second edition was sitting right there. But yeah, for Turtles, we have like Koya, or we have Leatherhead. We have multiple crocodiles on there. So again, these guys are about the same size. Like, bad guy-wise, they kind of fit more into the abomination. So I don't know what you would want to classify, the brutes as. Although, if you're making your own rules, you could just use brutes and everything from the other games, and then just have these as a bunch of different random abominations that appear. Like, you could play one game where, Leatherhead shows up, or Koya shows up, or you could have one where you have a combination of, like, the deck is just filled with Bebop and Rocksteady, so maybe they keep reappearing as the abominations repeatedly. You don't have to necessarily pick one of these and fit them in. We do have one other big one to show off there is, of course, the Mega Mouser. Just because, that could be a fun thing. Again, this could be an interesting, thing, kind of like the Invaders. Broodmother, who could summon baby broods. So you could have them summon little baby mousers. If I take all these guys back off, and again, I put these next to something like this next to the survivors. Yeah, definitely look like a threat. Even the mouses don't look too bad. Again, they're not the same style, they're not the same aesthetic, so they're not going to like, oh my gosh, they blend in seamlessly, because they're made in different art styles, obviously, and they're different detail emotes for them. But that's definitely those. So the other thing we have for Zombicide is we also have some walkers. So you have, and some other different types. We have like the toxic walker. We have a regular walker guy. We have some rats, and we have one of the wolves. just to show off some of the different types compared to some of these other guys. So, like the rats versus the mouses, that'd be kind of a funny interaction. We also have, if you're looking for maybe to adapt something as a runner for turtles, we have the flyboards or flying mouses. You could say, hey, they're movement based. So instead of running, you could say they're flying types. And maybe they have the ability to, like, an extra ability to just go over things, or you just use it, they just can move quicker because they can fly and they can maybe get over bad terrain or whatever. That is always a possibility as well. Yeah, so that's definitely some different ones there. I do want to show off some of the other characters for this that might work. So, other ones that might be interesting to do for Black Plague, because we also had the Thundercat set that came out. So here we have Jackal, Pantro, Lino, and then the Abomination Mumra. I'm going to put the turtles back up here so you can kind of see how these turtles compare to the other fantasy characters. Now, again, might also maybe give you an indication of this is what extra stuff they do to the fantasy characters. When they make them, they give them extra flair. Versus the turtles look kind of plain in comparison, but again, these are the regular. If you see the Zombicide ones, are all decked out in like different gear and stuff. But yeah, there's definitely a thing you can mix and match in there as well. The only thing for the Turtles game that really thematically kind of fits into Black Plague, Green Horde, would be these guys. So we have Hamato Yoshi, Oroko Saki, Usagi Jimbo, and Kunitse. So except for Usagi Jimbo, the other three are from the Secrets of the Past, which is supposed to be taking place back in feudal Japan. So they would fit more into the new White Death scenario versus maybe more Green Horde or Black Plague, but they would definitely fit into that kind of style. Again, they're not as detailed as the newer miniatures will be, but they thematically might fit in if you're just trying to maybe theme it. And then, of course, everyone's been waiting for Usagi Jimbo type character in this new set, so maybe he'll show up. These four characters might work. But also going with that, so either in regular Zombicide or maybe even a little bit into Black Plague, we do have turtles that have a little bit more detail on them. There he is. I'm gonna pull these four back off. Is we have the Deviation Turtles. This is during a storyline I guess it wasn't during a story, it was a version of them where basically they become they follow Shredder instead, but now they get like masks, extra weapons on them, so they look a little bit more survival geared up. So these might not again fit directly into the Black Plague Fantasy White Death area, but I could definitely see these guys fitting in more with the Zombicide survivors. So with that being said, I'm going to grab some of the Zombicide Modern series. So here's some of the more modern characters, and this is where the regular turtles might even fit in a little bit more, because these guys are, for the most part, yes, they're wielding weapons, but they're also wearing regular clothes. Like, this guy's baseball bat, this could definitely be baseball or cricket bats. He could definitely be like Casey Jones type thing, which I didn't grab a Casey Jones model. But then you have like a sword wielder, but she's just wearing jackets, so she kind of looks like she could fit in next to April, which I put... so if you put these guys next to April or Hob. Now, these guys, so they look a lot high. They're the same size. Black Plague characters are the same size, roughly, as the regular ones. But I think because they lost some of the detail in the clothing and armor, they almost look like they might be just a little bit bigger, like sculpt-wise, but... if you compare these guys to them, they're definitely a height difference in there. even compared to some of the Turtles. It's what it is. I mean, you're not, unless they make an official one, this is the best you're going to get. So these are your different comparisons. Alright. So the last couple I want to show off is, for the Turtles set, we do have a couple other Trooper characters we could look at. Of course, we have Foot Soldier. We have Karai there, who also would have fit into the Black Plague type characters. Or the Elite Footman. This is also from Shadows of the Past, from the past set. Otherwise, you have some of the other different Foot Soldiers in here, which should definitely add, like, if they're going to be your walker types. Whether you made it into a Zombicide version of Ninja Turtles, or you actually just added them into Zombicide, and you had these guys essentially treated as zombies for all points and purposes. Just being different models of zombies would be kind of cool. If you made them have specialized, like the daily special ones, like the VIP ones, you could have special rules. That'd be kind of neat. It'd be different things there. Like this guy could attack 2 spaces. These guys do extra damage. Something like that. So some different things there. Last couple little turtle miniatures I did want to show off, where we have Slash, Splinter, and Shredder was the last one there. So, like, as a good comparison here, there is Slash next to an Abomination. So he's almost as big as an Abomination, but not necessarily quite as big as Mumra from there. But, like, there is next to a kind of a similar-ish pose next to the Wolf Abomination. So he can hold his own against Abomination, but he's also a playable character in the Turtles game. He can be both. Actually, it's fun. Lots of the characters in the Turtles game can be both. So that makes that kind of neat. Yeah, there's Shredder and Splinter, some different ones. And then also for some just modern ones, we also have the Savant, which are some French assassins. And then we have like 2 of the different gangsters. We have a ranged one and a brawl one. So again, whether you just had these be additional sculpts for zombies, or if you made a Turtles version of Zombicide, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles using Zombicide rules, like the same idea, line of sight, opening doors, trying to get, which is basically what, City Fall is, except City Fall adds cards and a bunch of other stuff. So, I mean, if, like, you wanted to take that and just put it into the Zombicide rules, you could. Might be interesting. Also, you could potentially bring Zombicide characters into the other universe, into the Turtles universe. The only thing there is there's a lot more cards going on. To Zombicide, every character just has 1 stat card, which is made up of, 3, 4, 5, 6 different skills. From a pre-made list. There are the Turtles all have a deck of cards. Well, they have a stat sheet. They have dice that are specific towards them. They have a deck of cards, usually somewhere between 3 to 6 or 7 cards, depending on the character, which give them extra abilities. They can swap in and out between games. So it'd be a lot harder to take, this guy whose name I have no idea of, and be like, hey, I'm going to create a unique deck of cards and all this stuff for you. You might have a better luck bringing someone like Lionel in there, because he has years of backstory, but there's that. Alright, so the last miniatures I do want to show off is, just for giggles, is if you were going to add the Turtles in there, why not add animated Batman? So I've only brought out a couple of these guys to show off that there are various sizes. This is based off the animations. Again, the art style is not going to match super well with even the Turtles. Like, there's a little bit of a disconnect there, because these are definitely more cartoony. But it's definitely not going to mix with Black Plague very well. Very, very different. Again, the characters are a lot taller. But if you're trying to have, Bane being Abomination, or you could have these guys as heroes too, like the Batman and the Arkham inmates have to team up to fight off a fleet of zombies. That could definitely be kind of an interesting idea. Also be cool because if you could get some bigger characters like Clayface or Man-Bat, and the same thing like the Turtles, if you did the same idea there, get bigger characters like Slash or Bebop or Rocksteady, versus just regular humans, it would add an interesting dynamic to the game. Alright, so that's all of those. The very last thing I wanted to show off were some of the tiles. Just as a comparison. So, this is a Black Plague tile, or one of the versions. I don't remember which set it's from. So, Zombicide tiles are always broke up into rooms, right? Room, or different zones. Flip it over. They all have something that kind of differentiates which of the 9 spaces they belong on. So, like, there's another example. There's an outside one, which has some of the bushes. This one has some water in it, some different effects there. I just grabbed a few different tiles. So that's the same with Zombicide. They all have all these different tiles, so you can mix and match, realistically, any one from any set. Now, again, the artwork and the aesthetics from the fantasy to the modern to the sci-fi to the western are all going to be very different. They're not going to, like, blend well. The theme of it, like each spot having different holes, should work. There are some differences from games to games, because some have doors printed, some don't. That's just another thing. But I wanted to compare them to the Ninja Turtle tiles, just to show you what the differences are these. So, this is one of the Ninja Turtle tiles, in case you're a Zombicide player, haven't seen it. This is a street zone. Now, this obviously, of course, I'm comparing it to a fantasy set, isn't going to mesh at all, because it's little grid tiles, and it's big and open. So now, if, like, you wanted to, you could possibly, break this down into, like, 9, like, 3, they're not even, are they the same size? Yeah, they're the same size. But you wouldn't even be able to break them down necessarily by these tiles, unless you did these 3, and then these 2 here. It wouldn't mesh exactly, because their lines on here don't line up with where the boxes would be. Because like a house would be like right in the middle, or a walkway in the middle would be right in the middle there. So it's not even just necessarily just section those off. So like here's a sewer one, for example. They kind of show like these different colored lines, or things you can enter and can't enter, like movement spaces and stuff like that. But then there's stuff on here you literally can't enter. So that's why the turtle tiles, although they're the same size, I'll show off a couple more of these, won't mesh with the other ones, because they're a lot more open. They're meant to put other terrain or objects in the way and stuff like that. They did have some really cool feudal ones, though, for the Secrets of the Past set, which had different things you can go around in different lines of sight. But they also wouldn't work with the Zombicide rules, because Zombicides target zones. And that's the other difference, is Ninja Turtles don't. They go around different objects, and they can move in any different direction on these massive tiles. So there's that. I just wanted to do a quick show off of that. So if you were curious, if you pick up this set, yeah, these guys are going to definitely be pretty cool in that. They're going to fit in well with those characters, I believe. Then, if you're thinking about bringing your turtle stuff over, making extra quick cards, because again, the survivor cards are a little bit easier, and Abomination are easier to do that direction into Zombicide versus Zombicide somewhere else. Yeah, these miniatures will kind of work. There'll be a little bit of a disconnect in there, whether you're using modern or what. But I guess it would be no different than if you're using the Marvel Zombie ones in there, because they also have a little bit different rules and size. But that's what I got for this. Sorry for the